Hi, in this video I'll show you how you can use the Figaf tool to create test cases on SAP PI PO. So obviously we expect that you have configured an agent. We do have our agent module. For now you should not use that for testing, but in some cases it makes sense to have it. You should also have synchronized the content, have all the data in your PI system, and you should also have some icons that can be triggered or where you can trigger messages on. That makes it a lot easier for you to work with this and figure out how the testing capability work. And there will be problems with it, so you will need to debug and figure out why something is not being recorded depending on the scenario that you're running. And the easist is obviously a one-to-one. If you have something that is being split, it becomes a lot more challenging to record it. Just so you're aware that there is changes in this. So we have three ways of collecting data in most cases. So the PI message log, this is where we're using the data that is saved in the ICO. So using the data from the persistency of the ICO. Then we have an SAP log module option. This is if you want to use modules that will be added to the processing chain. This could be if you have iFlows or specific adapters in the modules, then you would need this set up. And there's also some scenarios where you do need these modules, and thereby it makes it a lot easier to do. We also have a module that we have developed that you can deploy on your system. It's a Java module. Once you have installed that, it will be used whenever you are doing testing. The benefit here is that the messages is added into an internal GMS queue, and then they can be picked up by the system. So this is preferred if you do not want to persist a lot of extra messages on the system while you're running it. And the idea is that you add this module, record the next 100 messages on a given interface, and once you've done that, it will no longer persist messages, and you are good to go. It does have some advantages if you're doing testing and do not want to send it to external systems, etc. So in most cases we do not recommend it, but there are some scenarios where it makes sense to have that as the way you're doing testing. If you have dual stack systems, you need to have recording payloads need to be persisted in the SX underscore monitor. And it is not supported yet on Cloud Foundry deployments. So you should run it on your local PI box or somewhere on the local systems if you want this. And we will not cover it in this one, but the idea is the same. You select the receiver determination, select record messages, and then the input and the output messages will be fetched from these systems. Creating a test case is obviously a little of a challenge. You need to be doing a lot of different things when setting this up. You should obviously have an interface that you can produce messages on demand. That just makes it a lot easier to test and troubleshoot. If you're setting this up, create with future messages. So there's three ways we can create test cases on. One is to fetch historical messages, all the things that has been processed the last years on this system. You can also say, I want to fetch the future messages. Then it will take all of the incoming future messages, or 10, whatever you select, process these and use them for test case. And then the third option is to select based on a specific item, how do we deal with it, or use that as the test case. And you can mix and match what you would need to do in the different test cases. Start with something simple to make sure that you can record it, send the messages through yeah. So if you are using the message sent module, it is a little of a problem to use that. So the tool you have in the monitoring where you can send a test message, because that could be logged in a different way. We prefer to use real processed messages. And yeah, you should hopefully have some guide to see what is going on. You can check the polling, how it goes, and check what's going on and see how it works. Let's do that. Okay. So we can either do it here from our migration overview. We can select an icon, select record messages. This will work the same way as if we come up from here. Here we can also, on the PI system, select a given interface and record messages. And I think this is probably going to be the most normal place. If you want to create bulk, lots of messages, you'll create it from here. If you want to create it just for a specific test case, you will do it from the migration overview. But let's create it here. The idea is you create it. PI migration testing. So we want to focus also on being able to migrate it at a later point in time. Here we can specify what we want, and we will fetch future messages. And I can show you also, we have the chosen here where we can specify we want to see messages that have been processed in this last period of time on the interface. But let's fetch future messages on this. We can add partner expressions using XPath to open these or process these. So if we know that we have a partner number, if we have a document number, we can, or document type like invoice, credit memo, we can use XPath expressions to deal with it, or we can just insert something here. We can see the settings here, what we have of settings. And we actually also have some more settings. If we click here, we can see what are the different scenarios we have. And here, I know this is a different one. So we have an option here to override scenario type. So it's an exactly one scenario. And then we can override, because on the icon, let me just show you the agent configuration. So on the agent, this is where we go in and we configure these things. So on the agent, we can select which is the default one we want to be using. And then we can select what are the specific one we want to be using here. Let me just be clear. So this is the default one, or that you can select multiple different ones and switch between them. And then you have the SAP log if you just want to use the SAPs or the adapter module that will be added to it. Let's use this one. We will use the ICO logging for now. And then we can see the different adapters. We can actually see they already have the module on. We can have some extra options here that we can use. But for now, this should be good. We have overwritten the scenario here. So let's try to record a new message. Record test. Did I create it? No. So I'll create a new migration. Fetch future messages. Save. And then this will may ask for a license for you to fill in. Then I can send messages to this interface. So let's see if it fetched these ones, and we can check here, pull remote messages. So this is always interesting to see what it finds and if there were any problems with this. We can check the details here. Inbound messages was not downloaded successfully. So this is a scenario where it is being split, and that can cause some problems. So let's instead go back to this one and select we want to use the adapter module override here. So we'll use the SAP adapter logging module. We'll press save. And then we need to go back. We need to create a new test case for this. We can use the copy function here, or we can go back from the overall. We'll create a new one. Yeah, so either you can update the ICO level on the global, or you can update it on the specific one. So now we have a new one. We can send messages in. So let's see if that will then pull messages. And we can now see we have fetched some messages. We have inbound messages, and we can see here the details, what it fetched of these messages. So now we actually have a test case almost created. We will delete this old one. It's a good idea to delete overwritten messages. So I'll just delete it. And now we can create a test case. But I think we'll run into a problem. So we have a problem with this one. This is a scenario that is being split. So if we go in here to the details, we can see we got this line number here. And here we have a parameter that's called order. And if we look at this one, we look at the payload here, we can see that this one has an ID that is 32 here. And that is a problem, because when we are processing this, we want to figure out which method correlates to which one. So we need to add an order expression to figure out what are the value out here. So to do that, we go into our agent configuration, go into a test case configuration. Here we have order expression. We can add this here. We will also use numeric order numbers. We will need to press save down here. That's a little, yeah. And you can see there's a lot of different scenarios you can use when you're recording PI messages, skip third state module, etc. We also on the test case. It's not been created as this was the testing. Here we have the recording. Here we also need to add this alphanumeric number. You use the alphanumeric number if you have scenarios where you have dates or numbers in, and it's just to make sure that we can correlate with these messages. So now we can go back here to our test case. We have our recording here. We can look at the details, and now we can click on recalculating order number. So now we can see it actually figured all of these documents in, and I think for this XPath it just finds the first value, and that is what it uses for this. So now we have a test case that we can create, and we can create it here, create test case. And we do have a number of different objects. So we have test suite. Test suite contains multiple different test cases, and we can see we have it here. And then we have test cases, and the test cases is run separately, or will be linked to a test suite. And so we can see we got test suite, we got test suite runs, we got test cases, and we got test cases run. So right now we have a test case here for our migration. We can run it. So we'll just let us run to see what this is producing. And when you run it, it will send the message in through the an XI3 channel with the same modules on as original use. And then we'll get a result here. So let's check the result. You may need to press pull messages. And now we can see we're getting some errors here. Diffs. So there's a date error here. That's fine. We can then do skip only successful. This is a way you can then go through and see, okay, now everything is successful. We have a successful test case. Everything is good. Out here in the test suite, everything is good. So we did cover some different things here about how to create a test case, how to troubleshoot it, what are the different settings you can go in and set up when working with these things. We covered this splitting expression. I'm not sure how many scenarios you have where you will be using splitting expression, but now we know it's there to handle these scenarios. So that was what I wanted to cover in this video. I hope you really enjoyed it. Yeah, next is we would need to take this test case and migrate it to the iFlow that we already created. So thanks for watching.